take us back to the moment that you heard that there was an effective vaccine? What was that moment like for you? How did you feel? What did you start thinking?
Well, it goes deep because one of the vaccines, one of the two that have now been shown to be highly effective, 94 to 95%, was actually developed in my group with my team here at the Vaccine Research Center at NIAID. So that was the Moderna vaccine. The Pfizer vaccine was very, very, very similar in its platform. It was a messenger RNA platform. It really is, to me, an interesting story. I'm glad you asked it, because we were trying a brand new platform that had never before resulted in a successful vaccine, because it had never been seriously tried in as big an arena as the COVID-19 attempt to develop a vaccine. So there were a lot of people that were skeptical about that. We felt confident because the animal data and the preliminary data in phase 1 and phase 2 looked really good. So I was very hopeful that it was working, but that it would work. I thought that a really good result would be about a 70 to 75% efficacy. And I remember it was a Sunday night, and I was sitting out in the back deck, and I got a phone call from a friend who is the CEO of Pfizer. Pfizer is the vaccine, not the one that we developed, but very, very similar to the one. And the CEO said something like, "Are you sitting down?" And I said, "Oh my goodness, this is either really good news or it's really bad news," because I knew they were looking at the results. And I said, "Yeah, I'm sitting down." He said, "You're not going to believe this, but it's like 95% efficacious." And it was, I started to cry. I mean, I did. It was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And it was. And then very shortly thereafter, very similar results came out from Moderna. And it was striking, but scientifically interesting, that two vaccines that were the same platform with the same type of clinical trial came out with exactly the same results, even though they were completely independently tried. And in science, that's a winner, when you can do something completely separate and have results that were so similar to each other.
It seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, telling that story makes you emotional right now. I can only imagine the weight that all of this has had on you. What has it been like for you?
Oh, it's been surrealistic. It's been an extraordinary year. Scientifically, spectacular. Better than we could have imagined. I think it was the proof of that what I and so many of my colleagues do for every day of our lives was really the beginning of the solution to something that was immobilizing the entire planet. And the thing that I think was the most stressful about it all is that we were doing it in this country in the midst of an extraordinarily divisive society. And I think that if you are fighting a pandemic of the gravity and the magnitude, the likes of which we have not seen in 102 years, even under the best of circumstances of unity and solidarity and all that, it would have been really a struggle. When you throw into it the dynamics of a society that's so divisive that even public health messages that seem obvious all of a sudden trigger not only disagreement, but a level of animosity, the likes of which I've never seen in the 40 plus years that I've been involved in global health, and the 36 plus years that I've been running the Institute. And it triggered some surrealistic things. So it's a year that I could never possibly have imagined, because the fact that I did stand up to untruth by disagreeing, and I've said it yesterday, from the podium. I don't take any great pleasure out of contradicting the president of the United States in a public way. That doesn't make me feel good. But I had to do it because I had to maintain the scientific facts and data and credibility of the science. So that's what I did. And I did it. And by doing that, I triggered an animosity against me by the followers of the president that, on the other hand, triggered almost an adulation of me by the other side. So you find yourself, you're a physician and a scientist, and your main job is to focus on getting a vaccine, getting therapy. That's what you're really trying to do. And you have these extraordinary distractions, like you get death threats to you and your family. You have your daughters who are harassed by crazy people, who send them obscene and other texts and things like that. And you say to yourself, wait a minute, what's wrong with this picture? We're trying to do something that's for the public health of the country and the public health of the world. And you have some people that react to that with death threats. So when you ask me, how was this year? Hello.